What is NaNoWriMo, you ask? Why, it stands for National Novel Writing Month. And the typical challenge is to write 50,000 words of a novel in a month, usually the month of November. That's when it's traditionally held. However, for a while, there was an actual organization hosting it online with a forum and little badges, and they had outreach in every cities. And I actually used to participate in this, even though I am a habitual daily writer, so I feel like I'm one of the types of writers who doesn't need it for motivation. I would do it sort of just for the social aspect. For me, every month is NaNoWriMo. I just write every day, pretty much. But a lot of people use it as sort of a motivator to get out their first novel or even their fifth novel, something that they've wanted to write for a long time. And the goal of NaNoWriMo is to complete 50,000 words, which is usually kind of a short novel. Of course, some people might complete even more than that during the month. But to write 50,000 words in a month, that is kind of a big push. A lot of people are a little critical of it happening in November, which is right before the major holidays, and it's usually a pretty busy month. I mean, to be fair, every month is busy for most people. But where I live, in a pretty populated Texas city, there would be a big NaNoWriMo event hosted at a comic book shop on the evening of Halloween, October 31st, late at night. And this event would just be a bunch of writers would show up at this comic book shop with their laptops and usually in costume, and there'd be Halloween candy, and everyone would be doing meet and greets and talking to each other. And then in a corner, there'd be people playing tabletop board games. And people like me would sit around, chat about our characters, and at the stroke of midnight, we'd all start writing and typing. And of course, some people have kids and they'd have to leave a bit early, so it wasn't, nothing was forcing you to stay there, of course. And I think I would usually leave around 1 or 2 a.m. and I'd go home and I'd go to sleep and I'd write more the next day. But it was always just a kind of fun event. I would actually host writer get-togethers at local coffee shops for the same reason as a social get-together. And the groups were founded by somebody else, and they called it Sit Down, Shut Up, and Write. And I believe that they have these groups in other cities as well. But in my local city, I would host those groups, and we would meet at various coffee shops or rooms in restaurants. Usually it would be sort of like a 15-minute long meet and greet, then 30 minutes of writing, and then a 15-minute wrap up where we chat about what we were writing. And I've met some friends that way. It's a good group. I think because writing tends to be a solitary activity, these social groups can be fun for people like me where, look, I don't get out that much, and it's nice to be able to chat with people that are in the same creative vein, people that express themselves in literary ways and have crazy imaginations, especially with sci-fi and fantasy. I always get along pretty well with other sci-fi fantasy writers, and many of us come from another kind of creative art background. Like I come from video games, and other people might come from art and animation and screenwriting and game design and so forth. Now, the actual organization that was hosting the NaNoWriMo meetups kind of imploded. They had some kind of horrific scandal. I myself have not dug deeply into this, and I'm sure you could if you dig into the online forums and people talking about it, but there was something about like a mentally ill person was running one of the group forums or moderating it. And there was some kind of safety issue where they were talking to minor children in sexual ways or something along those lines. And so the group came under fire and they basically shut down and imploded with probably good reason. I think sometimes outsiders to the writing and creative worlds are shocked by that. But I've been around the publishing and the entertainment industries long enough so that, honestly, these kind of things are almost common, unfortunately. I think that creative people tend to have strange, offbeat personalities, sometimes bordering on dangerous. I mean, sometimes full-on dangerous. Sometimes those personalities don't mesh well, or they hit each other's buttons in the wrong way, and fireworks happen. So if you're looking to challenge yourself with sort of a NaNoWriMo trial, I do believe there are many sites hosting these. One that I know of is Royal Road, which is a web serial community that I'm part of. They specialize in sci-fi, fantasy, lit RPG niche readerships and writing. And they usually have what they call a Writathon in November. And I believe they have one in April as well. And the Writathon is basically NaNoWriMo. You write something like 55,000 words in the month. That's the challenge. The winners get posted on part of the site, and It's kind of all self-report. People are trusting each other not to lie about how much they wrote or when they started it, and not to use AI and that sort of thing. So it's the honor system. But that's how NaNoWriMo always was. If you have any recommendations for Writathon hosts or other novel writing challenges, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it.